What's up, y'all? Today we are going to be discussing my most highly anticipated releases from Black authors. I have so many incredible books on this list. Some books that were sent to me as suggestions, books that I have been waiting so long for, months if not years in some cases, and also books that y'all put on my radar when I posted on my Instagram and asked for your anticipated releases by Black authors. There are so many books to get through in this video. Some I'm going to go into more detail than other because I just want to make sure that this video isn't wildly long. However, even if I don't focus on a book with a whole lot of depth, it is still going to be in the description box down below, so feel free to take advantage. There is officially 37 books on this list, but we're just going to round up to 40 because actually no, at the end of this video we add 4 more books. Principle of Moments, Order of Legends #1. This is by Esme Jaquotte Pearson. It releases on January 18th, 2024. So this book is already out. You can get it in your hands right now today if you wanted to. It is described as unmissable for fans of the spacefaring found family of Becky Chambers, the alternate London of V.E. Schwab, and the virtuosic climate craft of N.K. Jemisin. Okay, that sounds incredible. A century-spanning space fantasy novel that will take you on a whirlwind adventure from a Regency-era love affair between a time traveler and the prince waiting for him in the past, to a rescue mission in the 60th century where a girl desperately races against time as she searches for the sister the emperor stole. I'm not super big on synopsises for books because I often find that they spoil the book. I like to go in knowing the keywords for the book, the title itself, or for the author themselves, and then to just let the story unfold as I read it. Next up is The Dangerous Ones. This is by Lauren Blackwood. The Dangerous Ones releases May 14th, 2024. Is a romantic historical fantasy set in the American Civil War with vampires and people with demigod-like abilities. I do love the return of the vampire. I am still in my vampire era. Depiction of Black vampires. Vampires from Black and brown perspectives are particularly interesting to me. The gods as characters, demigods. I have a shelf on Goodread for books that have gods as characters because I love that trope so very much. Thanks to powerful demigod style, reflexes, endurance, and strength, she's fearless. And ever since the Confederates declared civil war, partnering with the vampires who benefited off slavery, she and her battalion of saints are essential to the Union Army. This has a lot of elements of ring shout. It has elements of The Undertakers. I'm not going to include Justina Ireland intentionally. There are other books that explore these exact themes that get me really excited for this book as a whole. Ooh, Pardon My Frenchie by Farah Rochan. The New York Times best-selling author of Almost There delivers the start of a new rom-com series with an enemies to lovers romance. Ashanti Wright is ecstatic over the success of her dog boarding business, Barkingham Palace. That is hilarious. I have to stop and say that a cozy series in general is something that I appreciate, even though I, to my knowledge, haven't read a romance series. I also love that this focuses on a French bulldog because that is a dog I've always wanted. This is a Black woman who owns a dog boarding business. That is very, very exciting. There's just one problem. The building she's had her eye on has just been sold to the surly grandson of one of her favorite customers. Very, very exciting. I'm curious to see if this is actual hate to love or if it's just a misunderstanding or one character hates the other and then the other character wins them over. This next one, I found out about this today thanks to one of you and hyperventilated. One of Us Knows by Alyssa Cole, another thriller. Alyssa Cole released her debut thriller When No One Is Watching, and people were so cruel to her in the reviews of this book. And what I mean by that is the way that non-Black readers classified this book. There were so many non-Black readers saying that this book didn't count as a thriller, which speaks so much to the gulf between what frightens white people and what frightens Black people. Because I still maintain to this day that When No One Is Watching is one of the scariest books I've ever read. It is one of 2 books that have made me have a panic attack. And it is because of when Black authors write racialized fear, when they write racialized thriller and horror, people classify it as literature so that we don't have to confront that these things, racism, is horrific, and it gatekeeps Black people out of the thriller and horror genres. That alone means that I'm always gonna ride for Alyssa's works. And the fact that she wrote another thriller is so badass. I love it. Now let's find out what it's about, because I genuinely don't know. This book releases on April 16th, a day before my abuela's birthday. That is exciting. Years after a breakdown and a diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder derailed her historical preservationist career, Kenitria Nash and her alters have been given a second chance they can't refuse, a position as resident caretaker of a historic home. I'm gonna stop there. Y'all know that DID is a very sensitive topic for me and my family, and also that mental illness as a plot device is a very sensitive topic to me. The reason why I'm not going to reserve judgment is because I think that we need to give authors writing in these genres a chance. We need to remember that this is a Black woman and that we should not punish how this Black woman is writing DID inherently based off of how white authors have done it. That being said, until I read it, I won't know if it is used as a plot device. I won't be able to speak on the representation of it until I read the book. But I can say that I am going to be going into this book with care and consideration and honoring this author's humanity, while also just keeping my eye out for how DID is used and depicted in this story. The reason that this becomes muddy is because we don't know if the author lives with this disorder. It is not okay to try and force people to come out of the closet on mental illness and queerness, etc. So I always say, if you are a person affected, let's say if you live with DID, it is within your rights to say, I only read books that feature DID from authors who are out.
You see what I'm saying?
But to inherently say that the author has to come out in order to write about it, I think is the heart's in the right place, but the execution of it leads to forced outing, dehumanization, etc., etc. Bookshop Sisterhood by Michelle Lindo Rice. This is a book that one of y'all put on my radar. It comes out on July 30th. I am excited about this because it's 4 best friends who are finally on the verge of opening the bookstore of their dreams. It's a place for the community. But before they can cut the ribbon, their worlds are upended. Tony receives devastating news months before her wedding. While Celeste's struggling marriage threatens to collapse, Leslie learns a shocking secret about her family, and a lotto ticket changes Yasmin's life, but not for the better. Very, very excited about that. This next one of y'all told me about on Instagram, and this was another moment where the breath could not get out of my lungs because I was so excited. Elise Bryant, one of my favorite authors, every single one of her books slaps 5 out of 5 stars. Is offering her contribution to the cozy mystery series genre. And we could not be more proud or more excited. This cover is so cute. It's a fast-paced, completely delightful new mystery about what happens when parents get a little too involved in their kids' schools. And we're gonna leave it there. One of y'all also put Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen on my radar. This is described as Bridget Jones meets Insecure, smoking hot, hilarious novel about the perils of online dating. Black women's relationship and experiences with online dating are very interesting to me, especially a Black woman who is curvy, who has a body that is deemed undesirable by society, who has a body that is deemed to take up too much space, and what it means to occupy space online, living in that body, is very important and special, and I am excited to hear more. Aaliyah is determined to celebrate her 30th birthday with a boyfriend. And after a failed blind date, the local bartender Ahmad suggests she joins a dating app, but it's filled with lies, catfish, fetishizing. The world of online dating makes Aaliyah think she's in over her head as somebody who is Black and has navigated online dating. Haley Dennings has This Ravenous Fate coming out. Thank you to another one of you for putting this on my radar. This releases August 6th. 2024, and this cover is incredible. The first book in a decadent fantasy duology set in jazz age Harlem, where at night the dance halls come to life and death waits in the dark. It's 1926, and reapers, the once human vampires with a terrifying affliction, are on the rise in New York. There is so much more to that synopsis, but that is all we need to know. Something Kindred by Sierra Birch. This cover, I just added it to my want to read list. April 2nd, 2024. Magical realism meets Southern Gothic in this commanding young adult debut from Sierra Birch about true love, the meaning of home. Come for the ghosts, stay for the drama. Essentially, this is a story about Jerica getting pulled into her dying grandmother's world and exploring her family's history while also meeting another girl who plunges her life into chaos. And it sounds very, very intriguing. Wander in the Dark by Jumada Emil. This author is new on my radar and I cannot wait to binge all of his works. Wander in the Dark releases on January 30th, so it is already out. Oh, that's right. I saw this book when I was in Houston at Kindred Stories, and I should have got it. It's a pulse-pounding thriller from the author of Black Queen, where two brothers must come together to solve the murder of the most popular final girl in school after one of them is caught fleeing the scene of her death. Very, very important. Excited to have a thriller focusing on what we assume is two Black boys. Archangels of Funk by Andrea Hairston. Andrea Hairston is an author that's on my 24 books to read in 2024, and that video will be linked down below. Angels of Funk sounds absolutely incredible, and it releases on May 7th, just days after my birthday, so this is a birthday gift to me. Cinnamon's been hiding out. She's ready to ditch the next world festival she runs, a sci-fi carnival jam featuring music, dance, masked revelers, etc. Her elders haunt her, insisting she do the festival no matter what, as she confronts threats from the Darknet lords and the nostalgia militia. Cinnamon must determine how best to honor her elders and her history while building a future for herself and her charges. It's not going to be easy. We are very, very excited because Andrea Hairston is an older author to see how she handles these topics, because these are all topics that I have been thinking about so much, and I really could use guidance. It sucks when you're thinking about something sociopolitically and you know that you have a shortcoming, but you don't have a guide to think that through. Top 10 anticipated releases for sure. We have Watch Where They Hide by Tamron Hall. This is the second book in the Jordan Manning series. We've been waiting far too long for the next book in this series, and this is another book that people did not put enough respect on its name. Another book that chilled me to my very core. Jordan Manning is incredible, and we are so very excited for this next book in her life. It is wonderful. If you have any interest in a Black woman's journalistic reporting and her own vigilanteism in solving cases against the wishes of the police, then you should definitely check this book out. And Jordan Manning is such a complex character. I admire the good and the bad. Awoke, this is the first in a series. So she's thrust into a world that she had thought was a figment of her nightmares as a kid, and finds herself where the dead refuse to rest. She has a hidden ability to see the departed, and that reveals not only the world's deadly mysteries, but also the depths of her soul. She gets involved with the Grim Reaper. It seems like that might be a little bit romantic. The Want, the spirits distorted by their defiance. That all sounds so good and deeply interesting. The next book we're gonna talk about is by Kwame Alexander. I have been revisiting Black poetry lately and just falling in love and romanticizing Black poets, especially classic Black poets, because I'm exhausted from seeing the same white classic poets immortalized, especially as people are praising them in one hand and then also talking about their racism in the other. I found out that Kwame Alexander also has another book coming out this year. It's already out and it looks incredible. It's called Black Star. Charlie, who set on becoming the first female pitcher to play baseball, but who soon has to contend with the tensions about to boil over in her segregated town. Warsan Shire is a speaker in this book and cannot wait for her contribution to it. We also have Imagination, A Manifesto by Ruha Benjamin. This cover is one of the most miraculous things. It released on February 6th and I need to get off of my butt and go get it ASAP. This book is one woman's proclamation that we have the power to use our imaginations to challenge systems of oppression and create a world in which everyone can thrive. And it talks about the obstacles and how we can imagine ourselves over them. I was just speaking with a man, he happened to have been a white man, where he said, I can't imagine racism not existing. And I said, if you can't imagine it, then how is it supposed to happen? If we can't even conceive of moving past this, how are we ever going to actually move past it? We have to dare to dream first, and we have to believe in that dream, because that's what creates a reality. Nothing is more important than dreams. So Let Them Burn, the first in a series called The Divine Traders by Camilla Cole. I already own a copy of So Let Them Burn. I picked it up recently. It's right behind me on that like tall stack of books where I have to film a book haul. I'm thinking I'm gonna film my book haul from my riding bicycle and try and bike half a mile for every book I read, because I'm nuts. So Let Them Burn by Camilla Cole. This came out January 16th. Camilla Cole is one of the authors that Kate Corain review bombed. If you're unfamiliar with that, it was essentially a non-binary white person who had a book coming out, had the book deal, book was gonna be released, everything. The publisher pulled the book because that author went and review bombed a bunch of debut authors of color, and this was one of the books that were review bombed. So the video where I speak about that is going to be linked down below. Released on January 16th, this is a whip smart and immersive Jamaican-inspired fantasy that follows a God's blessed heroine who's forced to choose between saving her sister or protecting her homeland. There is so much more to that, but that, personally, is all I need to know. Next up, we have Missing White Woman by Kelly Garrett. This book releases on April 30th, and I cannot express how excited I am for it. I cannot express. It talks about how missing white women are treated in the media. And essentially it follows a woman who goes on vacation with her boyfriend, and then she wakes up and the boyfriend is gone and there's a dead white girl in her apartment. And this white woman, she's important. She's got a social media following. So all of a sudden there's all these sleuths and true crime nerds, you know, poking around, and she has to solve this murder or she's gonna end up in jail. I cannot wait for this. The early reviews have been so good, really impressive. Next up we have Bright Red Fruit. This is by Safia El-Hio. The cover is incredible. Nothing is more precious than this cover, in my opinion. Released on February 6th, which means I need to get off my butt and go get it. This is from the award-winning poet and author of Home is Not a Country, something else that I need to read. Samira is a bad girl, and no matter how hard she tries, she can't shake that reputation. Determined to have a perfect summer filled with fun parties and exploring DC and growing as a poet until a scandalous rumor has her grounded and unable to leave the house, she turns to a poetry forum for solace. Already, this is so cool. And catches the eye of an older charismatic poet named Horace, and for the first time, Samira feels wanted.
Oh my god, please do not let this turn into a My Dark Vanessa situation.
But soon she's keeping a bigger secret than ever before, one that could prove her reputation and jeopardize her place in the community. Oh my goodness, we cannot wait for that. Next up, we've got Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse, who is one of my favorite authors. This is the third book in the Between Earth and Sky trilogy. Pretty sure that this is a trilogy. Yep, the first book, of course, being Black Sun, and the series means so much. It is set in pre-colonial Americas, and we are following a cast of characters. It's from a Black Indigenous author. The spiritual realism and fantasy, the world building, the inclusion of sirens, the crow god. Serapio is my favorite. There is a quote from the first book that I want to get tattooed, and the second I heard it, I just knew that that was going to be on my body someday. I cannot wait to see how Serapio's story ends. I cannot wait to see where Narampa's story ends. And Ihtan, oh my gosh, we're just so excited. We're so excited. Next up we have Exiled by Iron, which is the second book in the Tainted Blood duology. I'm currently reading the first. It is by Ehikbo Rokosun, and it is so good. I do have like a slight critique currently, but it's the type of critique that might be resolved by the end of the book. So just stay tuned for the vlog where I read it, talk about it, or for my wrap-ups. But we are following a girl named Demi who has wind magic and can call spirits, communicate with spirits, and her mother is murdered, so she goes on a revenge story and wants to ruin the kingdom that slaughtered her mother. It is good. The magic is great. The setting, the situating the book in Nigerian folklore is stunning.
I love it.
It's so beautiful and lush and creative. The writing gives you everything. And if you like that forest atmosphere, it'll speak to you. This book was sitting right next to me, so this is convenient. Break the Cycle by Marielle Bouquet. This is What My Bones Know. It speaks about intergenerational trauma and how to heal it. However, this is from an Afro-Latine therapist, a Columbia University trained trauma-informed psychologist, professor, and sound bath meditation healer. Oh, and she is from the Dominican Republic. This is the most stunning person I've ever seen. I already know that this book is going to destroy, break, speak to me, and build me up all over again to remake me anew, and I can't wait. Break the Cycle released on January 2nd of this year. Next up, we have Lore of the Wild. This is by Annalise Brana. This is a stunning romantasy debut about an enchanted library, 2 handsome fae, and 1 human who brings them all together. Personally, all I need to know, I'm excited to see how faehood is handled in this story. I'm not a fan of the fae. I've just never been interested in them from this author's worldview. I'm excited to see what happens. I am one of those people that loves books about books, loves books about libraries, especially YA books. Then we have The Dead Cat Tail Assassins by P. Jelly Clark. I just added this to TBR. I don't care what it's about. P. Jelly Clark is an author that can write a character and an action scene and set a world on fire like no one else. The world building, the story crafting, the storytelling, I have no criticisms for P. Jelly Clark's work, and this cover, I'm speechless, actually and truly speechless. This releases on August 6th.
Which seems cruel.
The dead cat tail assassins are not cats, nor do they have tails, but they are most assuredly dead. Weird. Introduces a brand new world in a fantastical city full of gods and assassins. Evene the Eviscerator is skilled, discreet professional and here for your most pressing needs in the ancient city of Talabisi. I just read P. Jelly Clark's Djinn series, what is it called? A Master of Djinn and a Dead Djinn in Cairo, and I was floored by how incredibly the steampunk was done and how well he built this world. The way he built ancient Egypt, the way he made it so vivid. I felt like I was on those streets. I felt that I was in the house. I felt like I was talking to a djinn. So seeing what he does with this story, oh my goodness, he's such a transportive writer. Then we have Lost Ark Dreaming by Suyi Davies Okunbawa. Again, I would read his grocery list. I would pay hundreds of dollars for it. This releases May 21, 2024, and I don't care what it's about, but it is described as Snowpiercer meets River Solomon's The Deep. That is very intriguing. It's a high-octane post-climate disaster novel. Decades after the dangerous rise of the Atlantic Ocean, the region's survivors live inside 5 partially submerged kilometers-high towers originally created as a playground for the wealthy. Already am into it. 3 lives within the towers are pulled to the fore of this. Yakini, in an earnest mid-level rookie analysis. Duoyo, an undersea mechanic mourning a tremendous loss. And Ngozi, an egotistical bureaucrat from the highest levels of governance. They'll need to work together if there is to be any hope for a future for anyone. Then we have the 3rd book in the Bones of Ruin series by Sarah Raleigh. This series is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. It is set during the era where the circus was really popular and we're following a tightrope walker who cannot die. She doesn't age, she cannot die. She finds out that she's immortal and she is trying to figure out who she was because she has no memories before being a tightrope walker. It's incredible. I love it. I love the cast of characters. If you like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, you will love this. If you want X-Men vibes, you will love this. If you want Black Girl Magic, a brutal but loving and caring, ruthless at times protagonist, complex characters, and also some of the best horror writing I've ever seen. There are scenes in this book where I was like chilled to my core. There is a scene where one person's face gets ripped off and another eats it. And it's descriptive. So I just was very, very impressed at all of the elements that Sarah Raleigh balanced, and this cover is so pretty. It releases on April 16th. Oh, I just cannot wait. The Ballad of Jaquotte DelaHaye. How do you pronounce this title? Oh goodness, what a cover. Releasing on June 4th. This epic dazzling tale based on true events, oh my god, I love that, illuminates a woman of color's rise to power as one of the few purported female pirate captains to sail the Caribbean. This gives Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea vibes, which I read with my patrons, I believe, late last year, and it was one of the best books I've ever read. If you've not read Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea, you are in the wrong. It is so good, y'all. This, oh my god, oh my god, oh my gosh, yes, we are so excited. Then we have Broughtupsy, which I own. I'm reading it this month for Blackathon, and this is by Christina Cook. We have a debut from a Jamaican author, and it's already out. People are loving it. I've not heard a bad thing about Broughtupsy, and this comes out on January 23rd. I'm figuring that I am pronouncing Broughtupsy incorrectly. I asked a friend and they said that this was Jamaican or Caribbean slang, and I need to look up how to pronounce it properly. But if you know, feel free to comment down below. Essentially, it's about a Jamaican woman who carries her dead brother's body around in a box, and she decides to go to Jamaica, her motherland, and ends up befriending a sex worker who shows her all throughout the town. It is queer. It talks a lot about being rejected by your homeland, about queer Black Jamaican life. We've heard such incredible things. Blood of the Root is potentially our second most anticipated release. Little Rot is first. Blood of the Root is written by Ladarian Williams and it releases on May 7th. It is too far away. We cannot express how serious we are when we say that every single day. This book is right here. My brain is just locked, obsessed, so excited, and I will burst into flames if I don't like it. This follows a teenager who finds the community he never knew existed at an HBCU for the young, Black, and magical. It's described as Legendborn meets Lovecraft country. His life is forever changed the night his mother mysteriously vanished, and then he discovered he had uncontrollable powers. And now at 17, Malik is finally ready to start a new life for both him and his younger foster brother, Tay. But a daring act to rescue Tay reveals an unexpected connection with his long lost, a legendary conjurer with ties to hidden magical university that Malik's mother attended. That's honestly the most of the synopsis that I've read, because again, I don't care. This book just speaks to me and I know it's gonna be special. P. Jelly Clark has another book coming out in the Abeni song series. It's called Abeni and the Kingdom of Gold. I have not read book 1 and I don't care what book 1's about. It's the Davies. I wanted to get to it last year. It was an anticipated release, but I didn't get to it. Next up, we have Little Rot by Awoke which is my most highly anticipated book of the year. Water is Wet. Awoke has been my favorite author since the year Freshwater came out. Little Rot is set in Lagos and it follows a group of friends over the course of a weekend. A party gets out of hand. They end up sucked into the city's corrupt world. Tangled webs of lies, betrayal, deception, all of that. I feel like this book is gonna destroy me. Little Rot releases on June 18th. Kaysen Callender has a new fantasy out. I cannot seem to enjoy Kaysen's fantasies, which is why I'm so excited for this one, because I love the contemporaries that Kaysen puts out, but I haven't had great luck with their fantasy. The Infinity Alchemist releases on February 6th. This is a spellbinding novel about a quest that leads 3 young alchemists towards unexpected love and unimaginable power, following an elite few characters that are legally permitted to study the science of magic. That vibe, that atmosphere, that academic fantasy sounds really exciting. I can't wait to see what Kaysen does with this premise. Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Iyamide is so high on my anticipated list. This one releases on March 19th, so we are right around the corner. We have a sapphic, dark academic novel from Farida, and I already know it's gonna be amazing. The premise is similar to Ace of Spades, and as I have said before, I want an author to write what they want to write if they know that they can write it well. If Farida still has more stories to tell. No. Akasha agrees. A girl new to boarding school discovers dark secrets and cover-ups after her roommate disappears. Oh, Those Beyond the Wall by Micaiah Johnson. We've been waiting for the follow-up to The Space Between Worlds for far too long. Years. And this book is going to be exciting because we're following a character that was in The Space Between Worlds. Someone else let me know that Scales isn't new, which means since I don't remember Scales, I need to reread book 1. This one releases March 12th.
Thank God.
It follows a woman who is faced with a coming apocalypse, so she has to reckon with her past and solve a series of sudden and inexplicable deaths in a searing sci-fi thriller. Micaiah is a brilliant writer, a brilliant character writer as well, and I know that this book is going to be amazing. The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste is another book that was negatively affected by Kate Corain and their review bombing. This one releases on March 5th, very, very soon. In a country divided between humans and witchers, Venus Stoneheart hustles as a brewer making illegal love potions to support her family. It's a dangerous business and brewing has painful, debilitating side effects, and getting caught means death or prison. But she's afraid of the dark sentient magic within her. An enemy's iron bullet kills her mother. Venus's life implodes. Seems like Venus has the chance to punish her mother's killer, but she has to pay a very steep cost. Brew poisonous potions to enslave DC's most influential politicians. And it's about her crawling into the corrupt underbelly of the city and of society, etc. Cannot wait. That sounds amazing. Tender Beast by LaSalle Sombre, another book that is sitting back there. So apparently when Sunny's mom dies, she left instruction that says, take care of Dom, which is very ambiguous. And Sunny has been entrusted with leading the family after this death. I want to go in knowing very little. I'm going to stop there. And the last two books that we have are 5-star predictions for sure. We have Out of Body by Nia Davenport. Love this cover. This released on February 6th, so it is available now. A high-stakes propulsive YA thriller with a body swap twist, thoughtfully exploring themes of friendship and identity. 17-year-old Megan Allen has been jumping from friend group to friend group in her high school. Nothing ever seems to fit until she meets Elsie, the adventurous, charismatic girl who appears at her favorite coffee shop one day, like magic.
Please be queer.
Megan feels like she's becoming the person she's meant to be, someone like Elsie. But on the night of their friendiversary, what was supposed to be a bonding experience ends in a waking nightmare. She realizes that she's no longer herself and that Elsie has dangerous secrets. Betrayed by her best friend, thrust into another girl's life, and targeted by Elsie's enemies, she must claim what makes Megan to get her life back or die trying. This is going to be an exciting book because I'm hoping that we're going to have commentary on overly integrative, codependent female-female friendship relationships. Books about female friendship, books about toxic female friendships, books about friendship breakups. Very, very close to my heart. As somebody who is a spectrum, breaking up with a friend has always been harder for me than breaking up with a romantic partner. I cannot wait for that. This is going to be my first with Nia Davenport's books. I have Blood Trials. I think that's the first one, but I still haven't read it and I can't wait. Then finally we have There's No Way I'd Die First by Lisa Springer. This book releases on September 5th. Oh, I just realized that There's No Way I'd Die First is not a 2024 release. Someone dropped this as a 2024 release on Instagram, but looking it up, I see that it actually came out last year. So technically there's 36 books on this list. My bad. Found some more releases so that we can actually get this video to 40 books total. The first one that I'm going to talk about is Bless the Blood. This is a cancer memoir by non-binary author Walala Nehanda. This is one of the 2 Blackathon group books. It released in February. It is set in verse with these incredible excerpts that are written not in verse to add even more context, and it talks about everything from this person being in love with another queer person to being a Black disabled fat body in the medical system and people's attitudes towards cancer both in the community and out of the community. It is one of the most poignant, well-written, incredible, powerful books we have ever read. I cannot express how incredible this book is. If you open a page, you will find something that makes you want to shout it from the rooftops, that makes you want to share it. We also have Redwood Court. This is by DelaHaye R.A. Dameron. We are following a character whose name is Mika Tabor, and it is about her being from a Southern Black working class family, and it is telling the story of her family through her eyes. I believe she is 10 years old, and it is set in the 1990s. A beautiful Black girl coming of age story set in a period that means a lot to me. I've heard really good things about this one. We also have These Letters End in Tears. What a cool freaking cover, and ooh, also matches the outfit. I'm gonna take Bookstagram photos later. This is by Musa Teji Xavier. Unsure of the month that this comes out. Bessem is a university professor who is leading a quiet life, secretly dating other women, but she still hasn't forgotten Fatima and decides to go looking for her. Beautiful second chance romance sort of thing. I'm really, really looking forward to all of this. I love that it's not set in the US. I love that it is from a Cameroonian author. At least I believe that it's not set in the West. Either way, it will be beautiful to read from a Cameroonian author. The final book, I cannot believe I forgot this, is King of Dead Things. This is by Nevin Holness, and oh, this cover. Chills. Chill. This person looks a lot like that actress who I love and whose name I can't remember, Michaela something? Michaela Cole? Incredible. Eli doesn't know who he is or where he came from. What he just knows is that he can heal a wound with just a touch. Love healing magic. And pluck magic from a soul like a petal from a flower. 3 years ago, he was found by his now best friends, Sunny and Max, and he would do anything to keep them together. Malcolm would do anything to forget where he comes from. He's trying to escape his estranged father's shadow, and he has an inherited magic that he doesn't understand. And Malcolm has one priority: to save his mother no matter the cost. So their worlds end up colliding. Eli and his friends are sent to track down the fang of the leopard god Osebo, which is exciting. A deadly weapon that can eat through magic. It brings Afro-Caribbean folklore to the front. I am so excited about that. I am excited to have the leopard god as a character. I've just geeked for it. This one releases April 16th, 2024. Let me know in the comment section down below which books I have forgotten. What books by Black authors are you anticipating in 2024? I have some videos linked down below that are similar to this one, or I have referenced in this one that you should check out. One of them that I haven't talked about yet is a video I did where I talk about problematic Black authors, an essay about problematic books that Black authors have written and how we approach that. How do we move forward, and how do we treat problematic Black authors versus problematic white authors? That is going to be linked down below. It was one of my most popular videos of last year, so I really appreciate the way that y'all engaged with that discussion. Thank you so much for watching this video. It means a lot. It would mean even more if you joined my Patreon. The link for that is down below. I'm so proud of what my patrons and myself have been creating together, and I hope that you join the little family. It is Hannibal the Cannibal themed. Yay. Be good to yourselves, be good to others. Read books by Black authors, and I'll see you in my next one.